Hello, I am Interweb Studios and today we will learn from Reddit what are some good jokes. With that, sit back and enjoy. When life gives you melons, you may have dyslexia. I have daily sex? With big melons, I don't see why not. With big melons come great responsibility. Response: titties. My wife asked me if I've seen the dog bowl. I said I didn't know he could. You are a legend. My husband said to me, can you watch the dog for me, and my autistic butt just sat and watched her for 2 hours. I swear this is a true story. I told my almost girlfriend I had to run a long errand and would she please watch my dog. When I returned hours later, that dog was super fluffy. I asked what happened, and she said, "What do you mean? You asked me to wash your dog." We've now been married 28 years. There is an episode of the children's show Ben and Holly where a character is asked to watch the chickens overnight. The next day she's asked, "Where are the chickens?" "Oh, they've gone?" "What do you mean gone? You were supposed to watch them." "I did. I watched them wander off." This was my mom's favorite and only joke. Guy driving down the road and sees a pig stuck in the mud. He pulls the pig out of the mud, throws it in the back of his truck and drives off. He stops at a gas station and asks the girl at the counter what he thinks he should do with the pig he just unstuck from the mud. The girl suggests he take it to the zoo, which was only a mile or so up the road. The next day the guy pulls up to the same gas station and the same girl is working the register. She notices the pig still in the back of the truck and asks why he didn't take it to the zoo. He responded that he did, and they had so much fun that today he was taking the pig to the beach. A lumberjack walks up to a tree to chop it down. Suddenly the tree yells, "Wait! I'm a talking tree." The lumberjack sneers and says, "And you will die, log." Man shows up at a funeral. Turns to the widow and says, "May I say a word?" "Yes," the wife responds. "Plethora," he says. The widow says, "Thanks. That means a lot." Bargain. "Thanks, that means a great deal." Earth. "Thanks. That means the world to me." Why do scuba divers always fall backwards out of the boat? Because if they fell forward they'd still be in the boat. This is like a joke my friend told me. Do you know why when birds fly in a versus shape, one side is longer than the other? Because there's just more birds on that side. It was so stupid, but I laughed so hard. My dad told me that joke as a kid. As an adult I said to him, "Hey, remember that joke about the geese?" I finally found out the actual scientific reason why one side is always longer. And he said, "Oh really? Why?" And I said, "Because there's more geese in that line." You out-dadded the dad.
Got him! Got him!
Another variation I like to use. Me points up at constellation or star. Do you know what that star is? Other person, no, what? Me, no, I'm asking you. My dad does that shit all the time. Him, did you hear what happened? Me, no? What happened? Him, no, I was wondering if you knew what happened. Edit, my favorite joke. In World War II there was an American soldier who got sent to a POW camp. One day the camp was bombed and unfortunately for him, his arm was blown off. He asked the guards, "Please send my arm back to America so my family can at least have part of me if I don't return." The guards thought about it. "All right, we can do that." A while later the camp is bombed again. Well, again, this man is unlucky and loses his other arm. Again he asks for them to send it back and reluctantly they do. Eventually the camp is bombed a third time and this unlucky soldier loses his legs. The guards come over to him and he starts to ask for them to send his legs home, but before he can the guards interrupt him with, "9. Your legs will not be sent home. V sink, you are trying to escape." Another one here, why do flamingos stand on one leg? Because if they stood on no legs they'd fall over. As a scarecrow, people say I'm outstanding in my field. But hey, it's in my genes. A man gets his dream job of piloting a train. He drives a bit reckless because he's so happy but nothing bad happens yet. One day he hits a man and he turns himself in and is sentenced to death by electric chair. As his final meal he asks for one banana. The executioner flips the switch and the chair activates. Sparks fly and the man gets up from the chair. Because a man surviving execution is considered an act of God, he is let go and continues his job of being a train driver, not at all ceasing his recklessness. It's not long before he hits two men. He is arrested and is sent to death via electric chair. As his final meal he asks for 2 bananas. The executioner flips the switch and the man gets back up, once again returning to his job. Once again he drives recklessly and hits 3 people, is sentenced to death via electric chair and asks for 3 bananas. "Oh no," the executioner says. "I ain't letting you have any more bananas." The executioner flips the switch and the man gets back up. "How are you alive? I took away your bananas." "Oh, the bananas had nothing to do with it." The man replied. "I'm just a bad conductor." 3 old women were sitting on a park bench when a man jumped out and flashes them. The first one had a stroke, then the second one had a stroke. But the third one was too short to reach. I heard it as 3 nuns and the punchline is, but the third nun wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. 2 nuns are cycling back to the Vatican. Because they're running late, they take a shortcut down a cobblestone alleyway. As they're cycling down the cobblestones, one nun says, "I've never come this way before." The other replies, "It's the cobblestones." A woman walks into a library and approaches the front desk. "I'm looking for a particular book for my son, but I forget what it's called." The librarian says, "Oh, well, do you remember what it's about?" The woman replies, "It's adventure story about Pavlov's dog and Schrödinger's cat." The librarian looks up and says, "It rings a bell, but I'm not sure if we have it or not." A man walks into a library and asks the librarian, "Do you have that book for men with small penises?" The librarian checks her computer and says, "I don't know if it's in yet." The man replies, "Yeah, that's the one." I asked the librarian where the books on paranoid tendencies are located. She leaned in and whispered, "They're right behind you." A man walks into a library and asks the librarian for a burger and chips. The librarian says, "This is a library." The man whispers, "Can I have a burger and chips?" Knock knock. Who's there? Doorbell repairman. I like to torment my son when he is trying to tell me knock knock jokes like this. Knock knock. Come in. No, Dad, you are supposed to say who's there. Oh, sorry, go again. Knock knock. Doors open. Dad. A man saw an elderly couple sitting across from him on the bus. He asked the old man, "You still call your wife honey, love, and sweetheart after so many years. What's your secret?" The old man replies, "I forgot her name 15 years ago and I'm afraid to ask her." A priest, a doctor, and an engineer are out playing a round of golf. Partway through their game, they realize that the group in front is taking forever to move through the course. Frustrated, they ask the groundskeeper what's going on. The groundskeeper, visibly emotional, says, "Well, I'm afraid the reason that group is a bit slow is that they are, in fact, a trio of blind firefighters. You see, last month they saved the clubhouse from a blaze and lost their vision in the accident. To show our thanks, we let them play for free whenever they'd like." The priest replies, "My, that's terrible. I'll be sure to say a prayer for them tonight." "What a tragedy," says the doctor. "Let me ask my ophthalmologist colleagues if anything can be done for them." After a moment of quiet, the engineer finally speaks. "Why can't they play at night?" A man was getting a haircut prior to a trip to Rome. He mentioned the trip to the barber, who responded, "Rome? Why would anyone want to go there? It's crowded and dirty. You're crazy to go to Rome. So, how are you getting there?" "We're taking American Airlines," was the reply. "We got a great rate." "American Airlines?" exclaimed the barber. "That's a terrible airline. Their planes are old, their flight attendants are ugly, and they're always late." "So, where are you staying in Rome?" "We'll be at the Downtown International Marriott." "That dump. That's the worst hotel in the city. The rooms are small, the service is surly, and they're overpriced." "So, what you doing when you get there?" "We're going to go to see the Vatican and we hope to see the Pope." "That's rich," laughed the barber. "You and a million other people trying to see him. You'll be at the back of St. Peter's Square, and from that distance he'll look the size of an ant. Boy, good luck on this lousy trip of yours. You're going to need it." A month later, the man again came in for his regular haircut. The barber asked him about his trip to Rome. "It was wonderful," explained the man. "Not only were we on time in one of American Airlines' brand new planes, but it was overbooked and they bumped us up to first class. The food and wine were wonderful, and I had a beautiful 28-year-old stewardess who waited on me hand and foot. And the hotel was great. They just finished a $25 million remodeling job and now it's the finest hotel in the city. They, too, were overbooked, so they apologized and gave us the presidential suite at no extra charge." "Well," muttered the barber, "I know you didn't get to see the Pope. Actually, we were quite lucky, for as we toured the Vatican, a Swiss guard tapped me on the shoulder and explained that the Pope likes to personally meet some of the visitors, and if I'd be so kind as to step into his private room and wait, the Pope would personally greet me. Sure enough, 5 minutes later the Pope walked through the door and shook my hand. I knelt down as he spoke a few words to me." "Really?" asked the barber. "What did he say?" "He said, 'Where'd you get the shitty haircut?'" Dave was bragging to his boss one day, "You know, I know everyone there is to know. Just name someone, anyone, and I know them." Tired of his boasting, his boss called his bluff. "Okay, Dave, how about Tom Cruise?" "No dramas, boss, Tom and I are old friends, and I can prove it." So Dave and his boss fly out to Hollywood and knock on Tom Cruise's door, and Tom Cruise shouts, "Dave, what's happening? Great to see you. Come on in for a beer." Although impressed, Dave's boss is still skeptical. After they leave Cruise's house, he tells Dave that he thinks him knowing Cruise was just lucky. No, just name anyone else," Dave says. "President Obama," his boss quickly retorts. "Yup," Dave says, "old buddies, let's fly out to Washington," and off they go. At the White House, Obama spots Dave on the tour and motions him and his boss over, saying, "Dave, what a surprise, I was just on my way to a meeting, but you and your friend come on in and let's have a beer first and catch up." Well, the boss is very shaken by now but still not totally convinced. After they leave the White House grounds he expresses his doubts to Dave, who again implores him to name anyone else. "Pope Francis," his boss replies. "Sure," says Dave. "I've known the Pope for years." So off they fly to Rome. Dave and his boss are assembled with the masses at the Vatican St. Peter's Square when Dave says, "This will never work. I can't catch the Pope's eye among all these people. Tell you what, I know all the guards, so let me just go upstairs and I'll come out on the balcony with the Pope." He disappears into the crowd headed towards the Vatican. Sure enough, half an hour later Dave emerges with the Pope on the balcony, but by the time Dave returns, he finds that his boss has had a heart attack and is surrounded by paramedics. Making his way to his boss's side, Dave asks him, "What happened?" His boss looks up and says, "It was the final straw. You and the Pope came out onto the balcony and the man next to me said, 'Who the duck is that on the balcony with Dave?' I played a blank CD at full blast last night, the mime next door was going crazy." And with that, I hope you enjoyed the jokes. If you have made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment your favorite joke. Check out the videos on screen now. And until next time, toodles.